So today's topic is the third P in priority. It's your partner P. And I absolutely love this topic. I wasn't sure which way I would go with it, but as I started writing notes down, I have a lot to say about this topic. I love this topic. I love marriage, and I want people to get the most out of their marriages because I believe that God intended it to be so very good as he said it. And so I think a lot of ways our culture nowadays puts pressure on us that actually strains our marriages instead of strengthens them. And so we have to be very intentional about the way we treat our spouse and the way that we live out that part of our vocation as wives. And it's really easy to get bogged down with your other responsibilities as a wife, but we have to remember how important our role as a wife is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Let's see here. Okay, so I want to start off with this. When my mom was first married, now my mom and dad have a great relationship. I don't know if my mom's on here or not, but they get along, they respect each other, they are funny with each other. Everybody says my mom's a prisoner of love because my dad is just always wants to know where she's at in a caring way and take care of her. He still opens the car door for her. Very rarely did they argue in my whole life. I don't really remember that. I mean, they had disagreements, but it didn't escalate to just being ugly. And a lot of us, our personalities are very kind, and with our friends or neighbors or coworkers, we are very kind, but then some kind of way, I guess we feel like they're going to be there no matter what. We kind of take out our frustrations or our stress on our spouse or our children or whoever. And those are the people that we should be the kindest to and the happiest to see, because they're the ones that, sacrifice for us and are with us. So anyway, so she told me that when she was first married, and I think they've been married like 40 something years, and my both sets of grandparents, I come from a lot of just really good marriages. And so anyway, so when she was married, she ordered this book, and this is where the 80s is going to come in. It's called Light His Fire: How to Keep Your Man Passionately and Hopelessly in Love with You. I'm going to link this below, and I'm going to suggest y'all all order this book. Okay, so this book, 80s hair, 80s references. There's some funny stuff in here, guys. It's very 80s, very cheesy. However, the principles are sound. And I have ordered this book for all my sisters, sister-in-laws. Hi, Mama. And I give this out as a bridal gift, and because when I was first married, I ordered the book, and I have lived by the principles in it. Now, it's not a Christian-based book by any means, and there are some things that you're kind of like, what? But like I said, the sound principles in it are worth the read and worth the gift to give to other people. And there's another one she read that I also like to give out to people. It's called The Total Woman. I have given this book so much business that I refer it out all the time. Sometimes you can't even order it on Amazon. And they're probably like, what is this burst for this book? And it's because I tell everybody about this book, Light His Fire. All right. So my mom, having read that and lived by those dating rules or marriage rules, instilled those things into me and my sister. So we grew up as this is the way you interact with the opposite sex, okay? We had high standards. So one thing my mom always taught us was that we are the catch. Like, whoever, and so you want to feel that way in your marriage, that you are the catch, that you are special and beautiful, regardless of what weight you're at, how you look at the time. It's just this innate worth of who you are. And that is attractive, especially men find that very attractive, that the book tells you this too. They were born hunters. They enjoy a bit of a chase, or just a little bit of mystery, something to go after. And so if you hold yourself in that standard of I'm the catch, and you want your spouse to always be crazy in love with you, and so he gets what he wants by a little bit of a mystery, and you get what you want by feeling all that love from him. So this worked when we were when in our dating ages. We were told you never call a guy. If he wants to call you, he will call you. You don't make the initiative in those things. And that's not a hard case rule. But even to this day, my mom doesn't call my dad at work unless she needs something, unless it's, kind of important. And I don't call my husband either. I always let him call me. Just that little bit of mystery of that I have things that I'm doing, and so it's always him who is like, hey, June, I haven't talked to you all day. What's going on? And so then I get to catch up with him and let him in on my life like a friendship almost, and not like a roommate. And so I keep that up as well. Or when I was first married, if I would start like doubting how he was feeling and I wanted him to pursue me, I would sit like on the other side of the couch and wait for him, and it would take no time for him to be like, hey, come sit by me, or he would move by me. And it was just that little bit of, I still am pursuing her, and it's a feeling that I love. So my goal is always to have my husband madly, passionately in love with me. So these are just some of the ways that I try to do that. Let's see. Oh, another thing that I find is an easy tip for keeping your husband in love is being kind and being a cheerful person to be around. No one wants to be around someone who is griping, complaining, negative, snappy. You don't want to be around a friend or a family member that way, and you don't want your spouse to be that way. Now, things happen, life happens, and you need to be able to vent, and that's fine. But just being really careful that when your husband comes home or you're around your husband, if someone could overhear you, they should know that is someone that you love, not someone, you're not talking down to them or anything like that. One story that my mom thought that I should share is when Brandon and I were first married or engaged, I think. We got in an argument, and I started like raising my voice, and I got all upset, bent out of shape, and he was like, stop. He was like, you will never talk to me that way again. If I had talked to you like that, you would be crying. And I was like, oh. Like, he was like, did not allow it. He stopped it right there. Nope, you don't speak to me that way, and I won't speak to you that way. And that was it. So I learned in that instance that this is not the way we're going to get through disagreements. We're going to be respectful of each other. Okay, let's see here. So from the book, for those of you who don't like to read, I can sum up some of the best points, okay? Men thrive on, or love admiration and respect from you, especially. They just love it. They want you to look at them with admiration and with dignity, and they want you to be proud of them and proud that they're your husband. So always remember to compliment your husband. Thank you, and thank him. Thank you for being such a hard worker. Thank you for being such a good dad. You're so patient with this child. Or thank you for cutting the grass and the yard looks so good. Thanks for washing the car. It looks so good. These are things this is how they are providing for you. This is how they are showing you, taking care of you and their family. And so what we can do to help them thrive and feel their best is so that they're even more capable of loving us even better, is to compliment them on those things and to notice those things. And it also works in the reverse. Like if your husband takes you to a restaurant for your anniversary or something, and if you're complaining about the food or the service, they actually take it, and in the book she explains this better than I do, they actually take it to heart. Like it's as if you're insulting them because they were trying to give you this gift and it feels like you didn't like it. So you just have to kind of, find the positive things in the gifts that they give you. And speaking of compliments, women get lots of compliments from friends and family members. We're constantly saying, oh, where'd you get that bag? I love your hair that way, blah, blah, blah. Men do not compliment each other. They are not going to be sitting outside and saying, hey dude, that shirt, you look real handsome in that. It's not going to happen. So I can remember my mom was very good at complimenting people, and I can remember her complimenting a man on his shirt, just saying that he looked really nice, that he looked good. And he told her later that it had been over 20 years since someone had complimented him, that he could remember a compliment. So it shows you how few and far between compliments for men come. So if they don't hear it from you, they're not going to hear it. So you have to make it a point when they come out dressed for church, oh, you look good, or that looks good on you, or you look, if they've been working out, you look muscular, or that makes you look big or trim or whatever. Whatever would make them feel good, give them those compliments. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, okay, in the book she talks about this, not correcting your spouse in front of people. That is very offensive to a man, and again, she explains it better than I can, but making sure that you are on their team when you are with other people, that you are that you don't just, they feel like you throwing them under the bus if you are criticizing them or correcting them in front of other people. And I also find that a lot of times with I wouldn't say my friends, but they we women can think of literally 1,000 things at a time, and we can be sorting out all these things, and that's great. However, men think differently. They think they can be more present to certain situations. They analyze things for longer than we do in most cases. And so it almost, when you're working together on a project, you almost can feel like they are not as skilled as you are, or they can't keep up with you. But in reality, their way of thinking has lots of benefits, and so do yours. But you need to be able to realize that they're smart and capable, and just because they don't work quite like we do, like really quickly, or multitasking, which is not really a good thing anyway, to multitask. It's just a different way. And I always like to think, he didn't marry me because he wanted a second mom. No man wants to marry a second mom. No man wants to be corrected on what to say, what not to say, how to dress, where to sit, how to stand. You can give those, ideas kindly as with respect and complimenting them, but they don't want to be corrected. And that's a hard one to bite your tongue, but it's worth it, because you don't ever want your spouse to think that you're not on his team, and vice versa. Okay, let's see here. Oh, another thing, if your spouse is really aggravated when they get home, or you can flip that on a dime, okay? Men follow suit. So if you're friendly, they'll pick that up and they'll be friendly. Have you ever noticed if they come home and you are stressed out, aggravated with the kids, in no time flat, all of a sudden they're yelling at the kids, and you're like, wait a minute, you just got home. You don't get to be aggravated. I get to be aggravated, not you. But the reason they're doing that is because they feed off of your mood. So if you're frustrated, they get flabbergasted and they get frustrated too. So it works the same way with being nice. So if you start being nice, it just takes a couple of times and all of a sudden they'll start reciprocating and being nice to you. So that's an easy way to get them on board if y'all have been, if it's been a lot of tension, if you've been butting heads lately, you just decide to speak kindly and he will follow suit, okay? One thing, and I say this a lot, and is learn to love what they love. And think of it like, okay, maybe you don't like football. Maybe you really hate it. Maybe you really hate, I don't know, Star Wars movies. Anything that they really love, if you really let them speak about it or ask them, what do you love about this? Why do you like this team? Is there a reason you like this coach? Why, what was it about this movie when you were a kid? All of a sudden they start opening up, and it's really not about learning to love football. It's learning to love your husband better, because they start revealing themselves to you and you know them in a deeper way. Or the same thing with movies. I can't get over, like, I felt like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, all these things were not worth my time. I never really was a movie person. But then as I watch them with him, because he loves them, he's expressing to me all these analogies about faith and these authors and history and literature. And so things that I would have never learned about him had I not chosen to find out what do you like about these movies? What do you like about this or that, you know? So you really, it's you learning to love more sides of them, instead of, don't think of it like trying, like all of a sudden you need to love fishing. You don't, but you're just unveiling parts of your spouse that you can love them even more. Don't compare husbands. Some husbands are really great at some things and not so great at other things. And that's okay. And some husbands are really weird in some areas, and your husband might be really weird about one thing, but so are we. I'm really weird about some things. And so that's okay. That's just part of their personalities, and that is okay. And so somebody's husband that, let's say they're always buying them flowers and your husband never buys you flowers. Okay, don't compare that, because in another way, maybe your husband cooks for you and their husband doesn't cook, and so he takes on that responsibility when you can't do it. So there's always like different reasons that different people's husbands are perfect for them and not for you, and that's why you have your husband. Speaking of things, quirks about our husbands, a lot of times we've fallen in love with the reasons that now drive us crazy, okay? So I'll never forget when me and my husband were dating, and it was one of our first or second dates, and he was like, I said, okay, well, what do you want to do? And he said, well, I don't have anywhere to be. And that just like blew my mind, because I always was next. I always had something to do, somewhere to be. And here he was saying, I don't have anything, nothing to do. I'm just here with you. And so nowadays, that same thing that I loved about him makes us late for weddings or church on Sundays, right? So he doesn't have anywhere to be. Nothing is rushing him. So I have to make myself remember, wait, that is actually what I loved about him. And now it's, you know, I can't look at it as a bad thing, because it was one of my favorite things about him. So if you look into what drives you crazy about your husband, it might actually be one of the reasons you fell in love with him. Okay. If you feel like you're falling out of love with your husband, if you're looking at him and you're thinking, what did I see? Do we have anything in common anymore? Can we even have a conversation? Ask God to renew in you that love, to help you to fall back in love with your spouse and for him to fall back in love with you. And on that note, he always honors that. He honors that very quickly. All of a sudden, you'll just be like, oh, I love him so much. He's so good. Another thing is, stay out of hot topic conversations. If finances always ends up being an argument for you, or if your in-laws are always an argument, try to stay off of those topics and just enjoy each other. Sometimes you have to discuss things, but just rehashing, reliving, it's not going to move forward to a positive place. So try to steer clear of those subjects. Think of it like if you have a friend and you don't bring up politics because maybe they get all fiery, and that's fine, but it's not always the right time or place for that. Then you probably will talk about all kinds of other things except that subject. So do that with your spouse too. Don't go on those topics that really bring up a whole lot of anger, because just stay clear of them as long as you can, or until you need to respectfully deal with those topics. Okay, God is the author and the creator of marriage. And this is one of the beautiful things that I learned about marriage, is that his plan for marriage is stamped into our bodies. So the marriage act, everything about it is the one flesh union, and he wanted us to be together in this journey, spiritually, physically, live together, raise kids together. So you really are together in this. And anything that pits you apart, you need to look at very closely, because that was not God's intention. So you may need to cut out some things that are driving you apart, because his intention was for you to be together as one unit, navigating this world together. Okay, let's see here. So starting today, here is your practice assignment, okay? You're going to go whatever entryway your husband comes through, if you can get home before he does. Tidy up the entryway so that the first thing that he does when he opens the door is not push toys aside or have stacks of bills on the entry table. Make it look nice and clean. So he comes in, you want him to open the door, smell candles, hear music, and think, oh, I'm so glad to be home. I am so glad that I am out of the world and stepping foot into my home. And then you're going to stop what you're doing, and you're going to go greet him at the door and give him a hug, give him a kiss. Hey, how was your day? And greet him. How many times do we just, oh, hey, or you don't even walk out of the other room. You're still looking on your phone. And that's the kind of thing that tells people subtly that they are not worth your time. And this person is, the third most important thing. So on our priority list, we have prayer, person, and partner. And I have this really funny story. In marriage prep, they ask you, okay, if you and your family, your mom, your dad, your kids, your cousins, your dog, everybody falls off of a sinking ship, who do you save first? And so the joke is that my sister was like, I wanted to say my mama, but I knew I was supposed to say my husband. And believe it or not, even over your children, you are supposed to save your husband first, and then together you can save your children and whoever else. And I just thought that was so hilarious. And so I'll tell the kids, I'll tell them I love y'all, but I really, Dad's my favorite person in the world. So, and that just makes their life better. The fact that, that we love each other. And so anyway, okay. So starting today, tidy up the entryway, make your home a haven, be a cheerful, happy wife that, he can't wait to come back to. And start dating tonight. Get the kids to bed and make it a priority for 2 hours every night. You're not on your phone, and you are hanging out, watching TV, drinking a glass of wine, enjoying your marriage. Don't let other things come in between you two. I remember there was a point where we consistently had, I don't even say date night, because it's really just our time from like 8 to 10, or really 9 to 11 or midnight, or whatever time we want to stay up to, watching all kinds of awesome shows. And somebody was like saying we could get a babysitter and get out, and I really felt like that wasn't even a need. Like, I felt like every day we were reconnecting, every day we were spending time, quality time together. And so that was an eye-opening to me, that I didn't have to pay a babysitter and find some awesome restaurant to go to feel like we were on the same page. But anyway, I know I'm rambling. I hope this is a touchy subject, and that's probably why there's not many people that talk about it. But I, like everything, have read books, and I'm just referring the things that have really helped me in my life, and I feel like are pretty across the board. So I hope that helped y'all. Don't forget, order the book if you need to, and I hope y'all have a great night and a great evening with your husbands. All right, see y'all next week.